Yo, no hat. Sometimes you just don't want to wear a hat. That time is now for me. Deal with it. Um, so I knew that one of the perils of announcing the end of the semester being Friday today uh, was that people, some of you might just completely check out. And part of me doesn't blame you. Uh, and it is, I have the urge to do the same since today's technically the last day. Um, but I owe it to you guys to keep doing these videos. But I get it. I hope you guys can use the time not in class constructively to hopefully make your end of the semester slash end of your college career for many of you make it easier. So I hopefully um, that's the outcome of all this. Um, so I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna do just one video for the real world and Patriot Act combined. Hmm. And I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. I didn't I didn't dig up my notes on those things. So the real world is, as I said in class on Monday. I mean, it was the birth. It was the birth of reality television. 100%. 1991. That episode that we watched, the pilot of the Real World. Now the Real World did like 30 seasons, and then there was Road Rules, and then there was the challenges, and then there was the Gauntlet, and then there was. I mean, it's just itself, it was became a monster, but what it did to, I mean, television it was transformative. Like, you don't have Jersey Shore without the Real World. You don't have Real Housewives without the Real World. You don't have Kardashians without none of it. And a big part of the lecture on Monday was spent trying to relate to you how huge a deal this show was. Just the thought of 7 people picked to live in a loft in the city and like be real, right? Like, and be filmed. Like, just being filmed was, I mean, people were freaking out about it. Like, the intro with Eric, right? The first shot, he's like, I didn't know. I thought there was some like experiment, and they'd put us in a box and just like see who. Yeah, and it was so foreign and so new and so like risky and like controversial. The thought of having your lives taped, and like how foreign a thought that must be for you to think that, like, because your lives are recorded, your entire lives have been recorded basically. Everything is on fucking TV or on online or on YouTube or on social media or whatever the fuck it is. It's like, if nothing else, it may have ushered that in as well. This notion of, you know, our lives being taped. Um, but it was a phenomenon, and that episode is where it started. Now, it it begs the question, like, what the fuck happened, right? Because if you watch that episode, I mean, it's not particularly Like, it's not exciting. Like, by current standards, it's bad television. Like, nothing particularly, there's no action, there's not much conflict, right? Nothing is, like, it's not hypersexualized, right? It was the 90s. Like, right, the girls are wearing, like, fucking, they're fully clothed. um, but what is compelling about it is they're actually having conversations. Like, the first thing they do is they sit around the table. I'm this person, and this is my background, and this is where I'm from, and I went to this high school, and this is no white people, no black people, and that is compelling. That was the idea of the show. Let's get people together and, you know, have interesting conversations. And a couple of you pointed out, like, there's the Heather, Rachel, Kevin exchange, right, at the restaurant about heritage and race and tradition and things like that. Like, that's a legit, and nobody fucking takes a swing at anybody. And right, it's a legitimate discussion. Now, what if, where would our culture be if that was the aspect of the show that they decided to develop and run with in the future, as opposed to what they inevitably um, embraced and ran with, which was the sort of, you know, the stereotypes, looking for conflict, looking to pit black against white, looking to sensationalize homosexuality and those kinds of things, like, and sex and violence, basically just fighting and fucking. That's what it became. And it took like 3 years to basically devolve into that. Like, that's how quickly that window of opportunity closed to have the show be about something more than just like, we picked you know, 7 people to live in a house and conform to rigid and bullshit stereotypes that we reinforce with this show to fight each other and fuck each other. See what happens when people stop fighting and start fucking. Start getting real. That's what the show became, like, very quickly. It just shows, I think, the nature of our culture. I mean, the the trajectory of reality television from this episode of The Real World to what, take your pick of whatever it is now, is a very sobering indicator of what our culture is really all about. So, again, back to the magnitude of The Real World season 1. Like, what happened was this show goes on the air now, and people watch it, and immediately everybody in that demographic, right? Anybody 18 to 25 is like, I want to be on The Real World, right? So much so that yours truly submitted an audition tape. It was a little high concept for, I think, what the show was looking for. I just ate a bag of Doritos shirtless. Didn't say anything. That was it. Just the whole bag, one at a time. That was it. It's like a 10-minute video of just that. I thought it was hilarious. But they did not, apparently. But that's what it, like, I was in high school. I was 90, when did it come out? I was either a junior or senior in high school, depending on what month of 1991 it came out. And it was like, oh my God, the real world. Now, again, like, had they chosen to run with the sort of the discourse angle, or just like bring these different people together and, see how they work through their issues. Now, they sort of set up season one differently than the rest of the seasons, right? That was a sort of a fish out of the water angle to season one, because Rachel's the only. It's sort of like, oh, let's see what this fucking redneck, how this redneck fares in this, in the city, basically, because everybody else in the house was either from New York or New Jersey, or had been moved to New York for at least a year. So they're all sort of cultured. It was sort of set Rachel up to be this, this sort of doofus. Yeah. And it just, how quickly the show spiraled away from being meaningful and about something it's alarming. And like I said, what happened is, once you air that first season, you establish types, right? And this is just the nature of television and video and editing and production. The second season, they're just like, okay, we need these types again. And what they really took away from season one, not much happens until the very end. And there's a big racial fight between Kevin and Eric. They have this big blowout. Now, big blowout by 1991 first year of reality TV standards. Like, they had an argument, a shouting match, basically. And they disagreed on something. He might have called Eric a racist. I don't know what it was. But they were like, that's what we have to do, right? By today's standards, this blowout was basically just a disagreement. Very civil disagreement. But at the time, it was like, that's what we need. There it is. We need that conflict. Let's run with that. So, second season, who are they looking for? They're looking for a douchey white guy and an angry black guy. And just like, let's see what happens. Well, you know what's going to happen, because you're going to force it to happen, right? You're going to make sure it happens. And it just started to ramp up the racial conflict. It started to ramp up the sort of hypersexuality of the show too, because in the pilot episode, Norman is gay, and but no one fucking talked about it. I don't even know if it came up in the entirety of the first season. And if it did, it wasn't this huge deal, despite the number of bubble baths, in which he filmed his confessionals, right? But subsequent seasons, what are they? Instead of showing up and having a conversation about, hey, I'm this person, and like getting to know each other, what do? They show up, they fight over the biggest room, they try to finger the gay guy. I know that sounds gross. Who's gay? And who am I gonna fuck? Who's gonna hook up? Like, let's get moving on that. So, sensationalized things about it. Nothing about anybody. Certainly exploitation over exploration, let's say. So, I mean, it's funny looking back, like, that's where it started. And a lot of you in your comments were like, it was cool to see that um, from humble beginnings, right? But it's hard to, season three really crystallized uh, how our TV system works, how our culture works. So they, now they're three. This is the third season. So now they got the formula. They need to bring in people who are going to hate each other, or people who are going to fuck each other, and sometimes that overlaps, right? So that season was Pedro and Puck, and you can look this up. You can Google it. So Pedro was this openly gay. Um, Actually, he was a big advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, and he actually did. He used to do lectures. I'm pretty sure he was HIV positive. So again, this is '91. This is AIDS. AIDS is this huge epidemic, and it's a huge topic of conversation. So you have this guy, and he's openly gay, and he does these lectures about AIDS and raising awareness and all this stuff. Very positive um, character and influence. And they pit him against Puck, who is this just a fucking, an absolute douchebag, who was literally only on the show to antagonize Pedro. And super cringy if you go back and look. And he's just an asshole. He's all tatted up, and he's like a fucking skateboarder, and he like lives his truth, and like nobody tells me what to do. He's like this rebel character, but rebel meaning absolute douche. And all he did was like bitch at Pedro and antagonize him and go him into arguments and eat his. He didn't use utensils, like that was one of his things. So he would just like, Pedro had this jar of peanut butter, and Puck would just eat out of it with his hands. And it was just so fucking dumb. But the takeaway from that season was, it was basically each of those characters represented like what this show could have been. The show, like Pedro was using the show as this sort of platform to talk about AIDS and to help people and to bring awareness to, real issues. And Puck was using it to be a fucking douchebag and try to become famous and a celebrity. And who won in the end? I think Pedro left the show because he was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Pretty sure that happened. But anyway, the fans, like audiences, were like, oh, give me more Puck. I don't want this Pedro guy. Give me more Puck. So like right there is this sort of snapshot of how our relationship with television is like, give me the asshole over the interesting person, right? Or the more, I don't want to say noble, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like everybody was like, yeah, more Puck, please, not more Pedro. So I think it's important that, especially your generation, sees that. I also laughed at how big a fan of the Real World Tom Rogers is. It's good. Yeah, that was fun. So Patriot Act, shifting over to Patriot Act. I talked about this, like, I kind of predicted this. Like 15 years ago, when I was writing my dissertation, I did a whole thing about how, right, I may not have said this to your class, but humor exists where shit's most fucked up. So my thought was, well, where's shit most fucked up? Politics. I thought that is this next movement in comedy would be news, right, and politics and things like that. time it was pretty much just the Daily Show was on, and doing that kind of work. And I sort of wrote about how it's going to proliferate, it's going to, expand because it's needed, it's necessary, right? If our news system worked, nothing would be funny about it, right? But our news system doesn't work. So there's plenty to be mocked and sort of ridiculed into hopefully changing, right? 24-hour news is a myth. There isn't 24 hours worth of news. There is now because most 24-hour news networks are just making shit up or prioritizing the sensational to get people to watch, because it's not about news, it's about money, and news doesn't necessarily bring in money. Anyway, if you look at the Daily Show, I'm sure I mentioned this in the description online. I mean, what it has, just the sprawl that the Daily Show, Daily Show's at the center, but all these shows that have unique sort of looks at political humor and comedy news, as it were, the original fake news before Trump fucking co-opted that phrase. It's astounding, right? You have the Colbert Report, obviously, and then Colbert went on to do Late Night, where he's doing a lot of political stuff. John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, Jordan Klepper's had a couple different shows. Larry Wilmore had the Nightly Show, Sam B's Full Frontal, even Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj. Wyatt Cenac has done a bunch of stuff, and you connect that with the rest of the political news comedy thing. The Onion is extremely powerful voice in that. Bill Maher's show, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I kind of like what he's trying to do, at least. And I think right now the sort of the pinnacle of that is Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj, and sort of takes from all of those things, and now it's really slick looking, and Hassan Minhaj has that energy and that youthful sort of connection to these kinds of things. But it's that idea of doing with the news what we should be doing, which is taking an issue and really breaking it down and analyzing it from a multitude of directions to come to a more informed conclusion. Whatever that conclusion might be is almost irrelevant, right? At least you're going through the process of belief. If I haven't talked about that in class, like, these are facilitators to this process of belief, where I don't care what you believe. I really don't. I just want you to understand why you do believe it. That's, I think, the most important thing. Because if you just believe it because my party believes it, my family believes it, my friends believe it, right? You don't believe it. Or I'm saying, you don't know if you believe it. You have to look into other ideas and theories and apply them to figure out if you believe it. A process of belief. So that's sort of one of my little things. And these types of shows, Last Week Tonight, Patriot Act, are facilitators in that process of belief. I think a lot of the stuff we talked about in class was how comedy makes these issues more approachable, whether it's elections, right? Like that episode was about elections, or if it's about civil forfeiture, or if it's about gerrymandering, all this kind of stuff, whatever the episode is about, um, it provides access to those ideas in ways that are, I think, more digestible, more understandable, more compelling um, than just, a pundit or a politician or a traditional news source. And I think at this point, this stage of the game, like that's as important as anything. It's like getting the ideas out there and, you know, letting us do with them what we will. Um, because that's better than not having access to the ideas at all. And we're more likely to shut down at when we hear, oh, it's a guy in a shirt and tie. It's a white guy in a shirt and tie. Like, who cares? It's a talking head. Who cares? They're all fucking full of shit. I've always argued that comedy is the least biased. I would never say that it's unbiased, um, but it's the least biased because of its intent. Its intent is not to persuade you to think like them. It's just to inform you. I think that it's closer to pure news than news, if that makes sense. Because news is information, right? Getting you this information, getting you the whole story, but it's been warped into entertainment. I mean, news is entertainment now, and propaganda for the most part, like echo chambers and confirmation bias and things like that. But comedy takes that a lot of that away. It might be biased this episode, as Ryan, was crying about in class. It's completely skewed, and he doesn't give you all the information. I get that. He's trying to offer a point of view. The difference is Hassan Minhaj doesn't care what you do with that. The politician or the Fox News anchor or the MSNBC news anchor is trying to persuade you to come over to our side, come over, be on our team, us versus them, right? That whole thing. And comedy sort of steps back from all that bullshit. And it's like, here's the thing. Think about this thing and see where you end up, right? The onus is on us to actually figure shit out for ourselves or go through a process of belief, as some have said. So, yeah, I think Patriot Act does a good job. And it's not just about political stuff, right? The episode about Amazon is fascinating. And among others, like there's a bunch. It's a show, you know what it is? It's one of the few shows that I watch with my entire family. How about that? I don't know. I don't know what that means, but for me, it means, yeah, it's everyone should go through this process of belief. So, what am I just gonna say? It's good times, and a lot of people in the past who've had this discussion are like, last week tonight is great, but the Patriot Act is better. And even the title, like Patriot Act, right, is a comment on, I think, the show's importance or the different, at least the different approaches, right? I think Hassan Minhaj sees the Patriot Act as like the this show is an act of a patriot, you know, exploring these things that people don't necessarily think about, that the government or the culture or the capitalism is sort of foisting upon us, and analyzing them and sort of digging for the truth. Like that's what a patriot does. Um, that is an act of patriotism. And last week tonight seems to be more focused on this is student feedback, is less focused on that. It's more sort of like, it's more jokey than um, Patriot Act, but who knows? Um, the big thing is like how humor generally provides access to ideas and concepts and um, just things that we don't we wouldn't approach, right? Because we've talked about this too. Like, you let your guard down, you know, when you're in a comedic sort of situation. I think you're listening more to, you want to get the jokes, right? You're more perceptive. You're more open minded. Like, these are all good things when it comes to discourse. We need to have those things. We need to listen and be open minded, and comedy in general facilitates that, I think. But what do I know? I've only been teaching humor for most of my adult life. Anyway, um, yeah, there's that. So have a good weekend, everybody. And I won't see you soon. Yeah.